IVM.
Some people think that Geek Fruits is a show about technology, but it's not. It's actually about us nerds. But if you are a tech head, that's a term I just invented for you, then you should definitely check out Shunya One, hosted by entrepreneur Shiladitya. It's a roundtable discussion about all the tech things you can find in India. Every week, check out the biggest headlines to dissect and discuss from tech, business, and the business of tech. That's Shunya One, every week on the IVM podcast app and anywhere you like to listen to podcasts. Hey everybody, welcome to the Geek Fruit Podcast, very special episode. Jishnu here with me, as well as IVM staffer Abbas. How's it going?
Hi, it's going well.
Abbas has a new podcast as well. You have Dating is Garbage.
Yes,
which I've heard.
Yeah, I heard it's good. I've heard the first episode so far.
Okay.
How many in are you?
We are 4 in.
Yeah.
Nice.
The third one is the funniest. You've got to listen
Okay,
to the
I'm
third
on the
one.
second one. Yeah.
What's the third one about?
The third one is about pickup lines.
Oh,
yes.
very cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So I'm guessing the whatchamacallit, the dating app pickup line game is different than a
Exactly,
real life
yeah, we
pickup
talk
line game.
about that.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice. The
Yeah.
dating app pickup line game is pretty cool. As in, like, there's an opportunity to be clever. Well, there's an opportunity to be clever generally, but because it's almost like Twitter, you know, like having a
Right.
good tweet.
Yeah.
Like if you can,
Yeah. So, not trying to make this dating is garbage.
yeah. I don't know.
But one of the things we spoke about
Yeah.
is that in dating apps is the bio the pickup line.
The bio is the pickup line.
Kind of,
Yeah, if
right?
you have a good bio, it
I
can
mean,
be
I
quite
will say
convincing.
I'm on Bumble and I have a thing about, I forget what the prompt is, but there's something like, you post questions, right, on Bumble that people have to
I think
post
that's
on?
OK Cupid or Hinge.
How many?
Is it? No.
How many are you on?
I'm
Jishnu?
on Bumble and Hinge.
Hinge.
So that's Hinge.
Okay, whichever one it is. One of them where I say, one of my things is like, talk to me about either Star Wars or beer. And 9 times out of 10, the funny thing is I get more like Star Wars things.
Really?
Like, the best line I've ever heard was, I think, I like it dark. And I was just like, nice.
That
I
could
see.
be about beer
Exactly,
also.
exactly.
Oh.
Hence.
Clever,
Nice.
Clever girl.
clever girl. All right. So
But yeah, new episodes out every Thursday. Check out Dating is Garbage.
sweet plug. All right. Boom. No, but I genuinely enjoyed listening to it, so that's why I want to talk about it. Anyway, Abbas, thanks for joining us. We have a big episode. We have a big one. It's a Marvel one, and Marvel movies are always big ones. And this is even more important than others because it's a new one. It's a new IP.
As
You
opposed
can-
to? Oh,
as
I
opposed to a
see what you
sequel.
mean. I
Yeah,
see
it's
what
like
you
it's a
mean.
new property.
Yeah.
It's Captain Marvel. It's also the first female-led, completely female-led Marvel movie.
Except Elektra. People forget about Elektra.
Well, I'm talking about in context of
The ones that
Marvel,
matter.
the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
The
I mean,
ones that
otherwise we'd
matter.
be talking about
Yeah.
the Dolph Lundgren as the Punisher
Right.
as
but
well.
But then, somebody just mentioned that to me the other day about the fact that Elektra existed. And I was like, all right, so how come that didn't get, any...
Hello, Elektra's the only reason why Evanescence got, another push in their career than they needed.
Great. So Evanescence gets the push, but why didn't, the fact that was a female-led movie get more...
no,
attention?
You're
I don't-
confusing Daredevil with Elektra.
No, so Daredevil had Bring Me to Life, and
Yeah.
then some of the obviously the soundtrack spilled over, and they have they had tunes in the Elektra
Evanescence?
movie as well. Yeah.
Which means you've seen it.
I have seen it. Oh yeah, of
What's
course, man.
what Going Under or something?
I actually
the B-side single.
I want to say Going
Going
Under
Under is a much better song than Bring Me to
very
Life.
good song. It's a good song.
The entire first album,
Yeah, it's
pretty
decent.
solid.
By the way, just released a new album. Don't ask me
Is
how I
that
know
their
this.
second?
I know it's their 6 albums, but they were on the cover flow, the iTunes carousel. So that's all I knew. Anyway,
So then,
yeah.
this movie...
So Captain Marvel, big one. Interesting timing for the film. Obviously, it's coming out just a single month before Avengers Endgame, and everything that we've heard about this is that Captain Marvel allegedly has a pretty important role in Avengers Endgame. So this is the origin story, and we're going to. I'd say let's start off with our first impressions of the entire film. How did you guys like it?
Abbas, go.
Hit me, man.
Underwhelming.
Underwhelming?
I was
Okay.
expecting so much more.
Right.
Especially the first about 30-35 minutes of the film was like they've made Guardians of the Galaxy, but they've sort of sucked out all the color and fun. And yeah, I don't know. And
You mean the bits in space?
the bits
before
in
she
space,
gets to
yes,
Earth. Okay.
were very flat. It only really got interesting once she landed on Earth.
Right.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, apart from the last 35 minutes, which I thought was super.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of talk about how this feels like a phase 1 movie in a phase 4 or whatever we are.
I don't think they've had an origin story in a while, right? What was the last one?
I think Doctor Strange,
yeah.
And I think Doctor Strange is a far superior film than this one is.
I agree.
I mean, Doctor Strange also follows the beats of an origin story.
It
But
does.
it just, I mean, maybe it's Benedict, maybe it's Tilda Swinton, but they have such, such enigmatic characters that it kind of, it's fine. And I'm okay with that also, as Doctor Strange is a film. Even though it still has the same problems that we all kind of crib about phase 1, origin movies.
Right.
I mean, people like to shit on, first Avenger, Captain America.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
It's
okay with it.
But see,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll get into this more later in the episode, but I think also all the origin stories that we've had, right? Other than Iron Man 1, I don't think anybody's first movie out was better than their second movie out. Like Cap 2, Thor,
thought Guardians-
except Thor.
Well, you thought
But then
Guardians
again,
was-
Thor 1 was not that great. Now, the difference is, however, what I want to...
Because I think Guardians 2 is better than Guardians 1.
What I'll
just
get
me.
into more, I'll get into more.
Yeah.
Though. Guardians is an outlier, but is the fact that this movie, unlike Doctor Strange, unlike Cap or Thor or anybody else, didn't have the giant black cloud of Infinity War looming over them,
True,
right?
yeah.
Like with Captain Marvel, you're wondering the whole time, this is cool, I'm happy to meet you, Jude Law, I'm happy to meet you, whatever those other people's names are that I forget now, but
Korath.
hurry up and get to the relevant bits where it ties in. With Doctor Strange, you're like, I'm cool, let's go to Nepal. I'm fine with going to Kathmandu and
I
all that.
see.
Like, I don't care about anything else right now. I'm fully in Nepal,
Right.
I'm fully with them.
Those films kind of came as a palate cleanser to
Yeah,
all the
exactly. They
Avengers
had that,
stuff.
Including
yeah.
Ant-Man and stuff like that. Yeah.
And to speak to your Guardians point, regardless of how you feel about 1 or 2, the thing with Guardians is that the reason it worked so well is that was the first time it wasn't an origin story. They just told you, these are the guys, accept it, deal with it. We'll give you in the trailer all the origin you'll get. Like, this guy does this guy's a tree, this guy's a raccoon, this guy's a thing. That's all you get, that's all you need. Now carry on and have fun. And we're like, all right, cool. I'll carry on and have fun.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Guardians is still, it's not an origin film, you're right. It's just like a heist
just-
film or whatever.
yeah.
It's like your ragtag group of whatever.
Right.
I think you're right in the sense that I think this movie relied too much on existing kind of characters and stuff. I mean, we do
Yeah.
see the return of Coulson.
Yeah.
We see, so Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury in this movie, he's not he's the second lead
Yeah,
in this
totally.
film. Like,
He carries his movie.
he
for
did
me.
carry
He
the
carries
film
it.
in many ways.
So
He was like Die Hard with a Vengeance, Samuel L. Jackson,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah,
of
it was
the
awesome.
de-aging and stuff. It was great to see him.
Yeah.
But I was quite surprised that they leaned so heavily on this character. I was really looking forward to seeing newer characters, and they have some which I really, really enjoyed. But at the same time, it was strange for me to see a completely new character not just break off on its own and not even come to Earth. Maybe she could have had an entire story. This is all
Yeah,
speculation,
yeah.
but I'm not speculation, but this is all moot right now. But
Right.
even if she did have a story that was completely removed from Earth, like Guardians was, because it had absolutely no connection back to
Right,
Earth.
yeah.
You're right. I think because in the wake of or whatever Infinity War and now Endgame that's coming out, I don't know if they felt pressure to kind of introduce it with as much context as they could. I don't. Did you feel that?
So here's the thing. To the movie's credit, I will say what I did enjoy a lot. So I've seen it twice, and both times around, what I'm very happy stuck with me positively was the fact that the movie doesn't tire in its pacing. It's actually a very well-paced film in that, I never lost enthusiasm for it, even though I was just this isn't as good as Marvel can be. But I was still I'm in it. I never found myself getting out of the movie. I was this is boring. That never happened to me.
Yeah.
But the pacing worked because, like you said, they had everything that landed, all the gags that landed, all the little tiny moments and glimpses and little nods worked
Right.
because of the context of the fact that it's on the shoulders of the fact that what Fury's going to be. So
Yeah.
seeing him act like this is working for you because that's not the Fury I know, but it's so cool to see the
Exactly.
Fury
So
like this.
That's exactly what frustrated me. I'm like, this
Okay.
is not the Fury I know. So what exactly happened between this movie and the Fury
Well,
we see?
the Chitauri
And
But there's
invaded
25
and-
years to find out.
Yeah, but then it's
Yeah.
again, we go probably fast forwarding a little in
yeah.
the thing. But basic thing is if Nick Fury flew a spaceship in 1995,
Right,
why
yeah.
is he so surprised to see evil aliens
Right.
come to New York City?
Maybe he wasn't surprised as much as he was just pissed that even
He was
though he's
still-
tried with the Avengers Initiative, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a number of ways of us to decode how he's evolved in this time. I don't know, man.
I mean, I saw an interview where Feige was quoted saying, well, somebody asked, the question everybody's been asking, like, okay, so if you've had this beeper for so long, why the hell didn't you use it before? And he said...
Emergencies only?
One is emergencies only. He was like, well, if, friggin' alien invasion is an emergency. He's like, well, how do you know he didn't press the button?
Or
how do you know he didn't call her and she didn't come back?
Which is a good
leaves
question.
it open for
Which is a good
there's
question.
25 years where you're saying like, how did Fury get to this place? There's still potential for there to be like the
so
Cap
that's what I was
2
asking.
could be
Captain
like
Marvel, is it going to be after
will be
Endgame
Y2K? Like, she comes back.
Exactly. Is it going to be after Endgame, or is it going to be
like,
in the like a Wonder Woman situation where we're still seeing Wonder Woman sequel,
right.
which is Wonder Woman 84.
Right.
So it's not. So maybe there's that room to find out. But I see your point. I mean, I still kind of buy into the fact that he didn't use the pager because he says it at the end of the film where he's just like, our best person who we didn't even know we were looking to find or whatever we found by accident, and she's gone like a million miles away. So the whole point of him starting the Avengers initiative is so that he doesn't have to rely on so and so, and he can just have his own peeps out. So I mean,
I completely sympathize. It is. That's the thing. I empathize with that.
No, but even on a character level, this buddy cop Nick Fury, and this
one,
Vengeance Nick Fury, I'm telling you. This one eye patch hardened. Emotionless Nick Fury.
Huge difference, you see?
Huge difference. I like Nick Fury for this movie.
But he's funny also, generally. Even with... I remember when in Iron Man 2 he's there and he's still pretty funny, man. I guess he's got his one-liners are not laced with joy and it's just more like a more deadpan version, which he's a soldier, man. He must have seen some shit.
I'll just choose to give him the benefit of the doubt because I feel like 25 years is a long time, and if you just look at take Cap for example, between pre-Ice Cap to now 10 years in with present day Cap.
He was happy for a bit and now he's really sad again.
Yeah, now he's he walks in the room, he looks at William Hurt, he's like, I don't care about hurting you. Just get out of my way. Forget the nice boy.
The nomad Captain American.
Yeah. So I mean, benefit of the doubt.
I think Samuel Jackson did a great job.
He did a great job.
Yeah. He's such a good actor. He's 70, he's pushing 70 and still
please just take a moment to recognize my boy.
Phil Coulson. All right.
That coif of hair.
So you know that...
He was so dreamy. He just walked on this...
Jishnu is the only person who watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, really?
So that's... and he's the only fan I know.
It's that show which is on my watch list for the last 6 years.
Exactly.
And one day
it'll remain on your watch list.
That's what Dinkar and I keep saying, but...
he walked on frame. I saw the movie with Dinkar. The minute my boy walked on frame, I might have bruised Dinkar. I was just punching. And I ended up punching him.
Didn't you feel he was a little wasted?
Yeah, he was not.
But see, that's why I like the guy.
I feel bad that he wasn't there as much.
Right. Yeah, in a way.
But he had a good moment.
I remember 2 lines. They're heading for the tunnel.
Yes.
We have to get Fury alive. Those are the only 2 lines I remember.
What I like is that he does very little, which is very in keeping with the Coulson pre-Avengers. Because now the new Coulson that I know is much like your Fury problem is this is not my Coulson. But what I love about Coulson in general, plus in this movie, is that what I like, he does very little, but he does the absolute bare minimal to get the most out of it.
Okay.
He had 4 scenes.
He had
and one was a gag to be a red herring for the Kree for the Skrull doppelganger thing. One was to be the final joke for the eye patch thing, and one was to really show you who he is. It was I'll let you get away. I was great. Yeah. You showed up. You did exactly what you needed to do.
Yeah, they had to give him that because
you can't hate on Coulson in this movie.
There's a reason why Coulson is stuck around at S.H.I.E.L.D. and climbed in whatever seniority. It's because he's somebody that Nick Fury trusts. Yeah. So I think that's cool.
But his hair was so dreamy.
His hair was dreamy.
He was so good.
It was dreamy.
It was some boy.
He was. And they de-aged him also.
Yeah.
It's good. I dig it.
All day, every day.
Jishnu, you didn't tell me how did you like the film overall?
Kind of the same, but like I said, my beef was more with the fact that I understand why it let me down. In that,
everybody goes for Marvel has to go for counseling after.
Yeah, totally.
I forgive you
because they had a very unfair disadvantage, which no other film had, right? You're putting...
after Civil War, which was the highlight of the Marvel Cinematic Universe at that point, Ant-Man had to come out and not Ant-Man. What was after Civil War? Doctor Strange, maybe? Do you think it helps go in and absolutely, like after Infinity War, we had Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is like you said, palate cleanser, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, do you feel like, I mean, actually there was a palate cleanser, so technically they should have been able to do anything.
That's what I've been thinking about. So essentially, Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Marvel are placeholders till we get to Endgame, right?
Ant-Man and the Wasp was a great film.
It was a good film, yeah, but even
not great.
So then why is it in both cases with Ant-Man and the Wasp and even with Captain Marvel, it's the last scene we're waiting for these two movies.
Basically.
How will they connect it to Endgame?
Like,
right?
who was it? I think Naveen put up a little post. I think our old producer put up a post. I could be wrong. It might have been him. Where he said the post-credit scene made it worth it for me. He's like, I'm glad that if that post-credit scene didn't exist, then I would have hated this movie, but at least that was there. So
it was quite a post-credit scene.
Yeah.
I loved it. We'll talk about it. I liked the film. Okay, I thought it was fine. I don't think it was one of the best Marvels.
I've watched it twice. I'm gonna wait a long time before I see it a third time. Okay, I'm not gonna rush to see it.
I'm gonna go
time.
watch it again. There are few things that really made me love the film. I do like Captain Marvel. I think Brie Larson is great. And I like how she played the role. Like most of the Marvel characters have a very obvious character trait that kind of leads their character. Like Stephen Strange is this cocky guy and he's just like super arrogant, and it's very overt, their emotional character.
Right.
But hers is very like subtle, and
I like how
I really liked it.
The light touch.
I really liked it. I thought it takes a lot for you to be in a big bombastic kind of action film which has a myriad of like big colorful characters, and then to be the lead character and still be like this solemn kind of subtle person.
Yeah.
And it's considering her backstory and everything, which is quite convoluted and everything like that. I think she played it really well. She was really good, as far as I'm concerned. I did feel like this didn't feel like its own movie. It felt like an episode of
exactly,
like an in-between episode
which is what I'm getting at. That's why it's not fair, because it doesn't feel like its own thing.
But
because
I mean, 21 movies in, I mean, it's a tough ask.
Right.
But I mean, people have done it. Black
That's
Panther
what I mean.
did
Like, I understand why it comes up like this, because by design, the math against this movie is just so gargantuanly
I don't want to leave it to. I don't want to say that just because it has Endgame releasing.
So that's
on
what I'm saying.
tails.
I don't agree with that. I mean, aside from the last post-credit scene, what else was in the movie that had to lead to Endgame?
Yeah, it could have been its own beast. Like Black Panther, even though has been introduced in a previous film, and we've seen him, and we've seen how cool he is and stuff. And we got all that information. And then to make an origin film is a harder ask, right? Because all the stuff that we really want to see about Black Panther, we've seen.
You've seen it.
Like, you've seen it. He's in action, he's great.
So,
it's like what they need to do with Batman right now, but they can't. They have to give him a goddamn story. They don't need to. But to go after Civil War, which is such a great film, and then make an origin film which is compelling by itself and standalone.
See, that's the thing. Black Panther worked because it wasn't an origin film. His origin was literally putting on a ring in Civil War. There was no more origin to that guy. It's like, the guy exists, he's a prince, he's son of a guy.
Backdoor pilot,
and boom,
the origin to his mythos, kind of like.
Yeah, but he still had to explain his powers, his this, his that, his community, his everything.
Right, but that's just contextualizing a guy that we already know pretty well. What I'm getting at is, like, if you compare how they use Black Panther versus how they use Captain Marvel.
I agree, it's different.
So the thing is, in Civil War, like, one reason why I love Civil War, because the Russos really, really know how to use dialogue. Like, he doesn't have that many lines, but, like, in one of the most pivotal moments in that movie, in the middle of the airport fight scene, when he's finally one-on-one with the Winter Soldier, while they're throwing fisticuffs, Winter Soldier's like, I didn't kill your dad. Why did you run?
I don't care.
That gives it to you. Like, that is really all you need to understand his entire motivation in just one line in the middle of a fight scene. Whereas with Captain Marvel, and I sat and I counted the second time around because it bugged me so much the first time, at her most pivotal coming of age, but like coming to power, rise to power moment, when she's like sort of in those vines where she's like trapped, and she goes back into Supreme Intelligence. The line that like stirs her on to finally go Super Saiyan was from Annette Bening saying, "Screw you, we gave you your powers. Without us, you're only human." And she's like, that's right, I am. Cut to, I counted 8 scenes of her standing up. Falling off a bike, getting up at a baseball match, baseball game.
It was very Tree
on
of
the
Life.
beach. It was so dumb. I was like, listen,
it was very
I'm on your
Gilliam,
side. I like you, Brie Larson. I like the character a lot. But you standing up 8 times is not proving to me that you have learned anything. Black Panther telling me his conviction of like, this is why I'm fighting you, because I have reasonable doubt that you are doing this with the intention to hurt me, as opposed to what Winter Soldier says was like, listen, I'm brainwashed. He's like, I have no reason to believe you. That's why I'm doing this. That is a much more compelling reason.
Of the standing, or the Tree of Life, Terry Gilliam style
It actually got
montage.
to me.
I was okay with it. Yeah, I was fine with it.
Just despite its cheesiness, I was
It is-
like,
it
yes,
was
yes,
very
I
on the
want her to
nose.
get back up and kick their asses.
It was very on the nose, and it's very like this supposed to be this empowering kind of moment for her. I was okay with it, man. I was alright with it. I was like,
Now
it's
that
the
Jishnu
same.
was explaining to me, it's like, I am ashamed for falling for that.
No, so look, it's the same. It's the
No,
same
I'm
thing.
okay
Like
with
the
it. It's
same
fine.
scene happens like in Spider-Man. Like when Spider-Man is down and the building falls on his head, and he's like looking at him at his reflection. He's like, oh no, like, and he says, "Come on, Spider-Man."
That is Jack
That
Kirby's
works.
That's
panels
a
being
huge-
brought to
yeah,
life.
life.
Right,
Yeah, yeah.
that's the visual being brought to life. But what I'm getting at is that was earned. That moment was earned because the scripting again in that movie allows you enough time to get to know the character. Unfortunately, in this one, we don't spend too much time getting to know Carol well enough to
I think
like,
that's
understand her
I
look.
agree.
That's a
I
very
agree.
good
I
point.
agree.
Because he was set up again in Civil War. The Russos just know how to use him so well. That one bedroom conversation between him and Tony. Tony literally says, "What gets you out of that twin bed in the morning?"
And he basically says, "Great power, great responsibility, but badly arranged."
And it
sentences.
works, right?
It does. He's a kid.
Because
Yeah.
they just know how to write a better script.
Yeah.
The script in this movie just didn't work. Another thing, Ronan. What the hell was that guy doing? The only
He was
reason
accusing.
Ronan
That's what he does.
He only works if you've seen Guardians. If you haven't
Yeah.
seen Guardians and you just watch this movie,
His name is a
and,
verb,
it,
guys.
and it somehow looked like they gave less of a shit about his makeup,
Makeup,
this
yeah,
time.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
I think they were trying to like detract. Like he's evolved his makeup. His makeup is. You
Like,
watch a few YouTube
He
videos. Listen,
basically plays the Emperor in that he's the hologram the whole way through. And like, oh my god, I can't wait until he shows up. He shows up. He stands there. They fire rockets. He's
And
like,
you're like,
oh,
yep, where
acha,
are you?
chalo,
Yeah,
boy,
gotta
boy.
get.
I was like,
All right.
Come back again.
I was like, if
cool.
I didn't know who you'd be, I wouldn't care about
Let's
you.
take a quick break. We'll come back. We're going to talk about the themes of this film.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another awesome week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you aren't following us on social media, please make sure that you do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Just a couple of notes up front. One is that we are still running our listener survey. That's ivmpodcast.com/survey. The survey is only going to run till the end of the week. So if you want a chance to win that awesome mug that we're giving out, please make sure that you fill out that survey. Also, I wanted to put out a quick reminder that if you're enjoying what you're listening to, please take a screenshot of what you're listening to, tag us on Instagram, and we'll put that in our story so that everybody else can see what you're listening to. Also, please don't forget to put in a comment. On The Scene and the Unseen, Amit Verma is joined by author Tony Joseph, who talks about his acclaimed book, Early Indians. They deep dive into the Harappan times and how ancient history is never as simple as it seems. On Advertising is Dead, Varun's guest is comedian and writer Naveen Richard. They talk about the source material for writing comedy, the web series Better Life Foundation, meme culture, and tongue cleaners. On Paisa Vaisa, Anupam is joined by Rahul Jain, head of Edelweiss Personal Wealth Advisory. They talk about wealth management and his future in India. On Paperback, Anirudh Kanisati joins Satyajit and Rachita to reflect on how archaeology led to the creation of many rituals. On Know Your Qanoon, Amber Rana is in conversation with Abbas and they discuss legal procedures involved in crimes against women. On our Marathi podcast Golgappa, Trupti is joined by the hosts of How to Citizen, Meghnad and Shreyas. They talk about growing up in Nagpur and their show. On Geek Fruit, Tejas, Jishnu and Abbas dissect the latest film entry into the Marvel canon, Captain Marvel. And with that, let's continue on with your show.
Hey everybody, we're back. I'm with Abbas and Jishnu. We're talking about Captain Marvel, and some people are disappointed. Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's actually talk about the themes of this film, right? What did you guys think the movie was about? Like, I struggled initially when I watched Infinity War, and I was like, what is the theme of this film? Like, is it just like a stringing of like characters doing things to get to an end? But there's a huge thing about sacrifice in that film, right? Like, everything in that movie is about sacrifice. Like, whether it's Gamora saying you have to kill me to do this, or this one giving away the time stone to So there's like a big theme in that film, and I really enjoyed that. In this film, this film, it felt like I felt a little confused as to what the theme was, but I think one thing about it was like the whole idea of trust, and so that seems between people who don't know each other, whether it's in the smallest way of of Goose and Fury and stuff, but whatever it is. So I felt like that was the theme, but at the same time, the way this film has been like marketed, and the fact that it's releasing on, and I know we're three dudes talking about a female-led film, and seems a bit unfair for us to talk about it, but did you feel like this movie went with the direction the marketing went, which was that where it's released on Women's Day, it's about the first female-led, and there's a lot of empowering moments in the film, but did you feel like that's really what the film was about, or did they just use that to market the film, and then the film just did whatever it wanted to?
I think the latter, and I like the fact that it wasn't heavy-handed, which is why I liked her performance, because she didn't need to be like a Doctor Strange or a Thor, who are like, when they walk in the room, you know exactly who that guy is. Like, you can be she has quiet confidence,
Yeah, I love
which
it.
I enjoyed. I was just like,
And she's
look,
funny also,
like
man.
she's funny.
got some good good gags
She's
in there.
like she says, like her line to Jude Law was, I don't need to prove anything to you.
Yeah,
Like, let me just do it.
great.
I'm just
I
going
love
to do
that.
me. I'm like, yeah, you do you.
That
You
was
don't have
that
to,
was
like,
huge, man.
You don't have to walk in the room and, sort of like announce to the world that I am a woman and I am equal to you. And it's like, no, like be you, and I'll accept you if you're just honest. And she didn't like put on any big show because it wasn't needed. I was like, if you are the most powerful Avenger,
there are obvious cues to that in the film, with like No Doubts, like where and the movie ends with Courtney Love.
Can you pause and reflect on that moment? What do you guys think of that?
Of
which one?
Of the No Doubt song playing while
I'm a girl.
she's
I'm just a girl.
I'm just a girl.
That was, which scene was that?
It's basically when she
the
becomes Captain Marvel, she accepts her powers after the Supreme Intelligence says, she gives the big
Super Saiyan moment.
F you to
I'll say,
Man, okay, the
marketing
visuals were
ruined it for me.
sick. Okay.
I didn't.
What?
I felt the exact opposite.
Her Captain Marvel-ness?
Because
I dug it, man. I was into it.
Because
when she flies through the
seeing it-
air and like
that
destroys
was
the ships
amazing.
and
No,
shit.
that's not when the song plays. The song
Oh,
plays.
that scene. Okay,
yeah,
cool,
the song plays a
cool.
little
I'm just,
before
I'm
that.
just talking about the effect of her powers finally coming alive.
I
That
just,
was
I just
amazing,
wish I
yes.
just wish I didn't see the trailer
Oh,
because
what trailer?
for the movie
As in like
They do
Yeah.
ruin a bit of the climax in the trailers.
I'm
they
Yes.
ruin all of it. Oh, you didn't see any of the trailers?
I'm good, bro.
See, that's the thing.
I saw the first trailer and
Ah,
that's
that's
it.
all- that's all I
and I was
saw.
outie, bro.
There wasn't. You didn't see it in the first
Nah,
one.
man.
Oh,
I
you
just
forgot.
saw. I mean,
I
I've
wish I
seen a
was you.
poster of her glowing and all, but like that's about it.
So that's the thing. Like,
Yeah,
or
she's
like on
gonna glow.
Instagram,
She's Captain Marvel. God
like
damn
on
it.
Instagram, like as
Yeah.
you're innocently swiping through, the first thing you'll see of most Marvel, Captain Marvel promos is the Super Saiyan moment. And I was like, okay, so I expected that to happen in the first 20 minutes because usually Marvel are really good about that stuff, and I feel like they just totally botched it at this time.
I think they had to do. Did you think
took
they had
away
to
all the-
oversell this film also because it's like an origin film and it was just coming on the heels of this other movie?
I
they
think
had to
the
promote.
thing with that is the imagery of Captain Marvel has actually changed quite a lot. Like,
I agree, I agree.
The current the way
Iteration,
she's
yeah.
and her powers in the current comics run,
Right.
which is written by Kelly Sue
Correct,
DeConnick,
yeah,
who was
yeah.
actually one of the people
scriptwriters,
who and originally. So I think they wanted to sort of give one version of Captain Marvel.
A definitive
the one which is in
thing.
the books right now is the one you see on screen, which is what they did with Guardians of the Galaxy as
Correct,
well.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
the lineup in the books is the
And
one.
yeah, they've like hyper streamlined.
Yeah, so I
all of
think
that,
in order
yeah.
to show her powers on screen and make sure that it reflects kind of the same way that you see her in the books is the same one. I think that's why they had to give her the similar costume
Right.
with similar powers. I think that
Fair
probably
enough.
was
I'm
the,
cool with
was
it
the
because I
reason.
didn't see the trailer, guys, so I'm good. But so what did you think of the let's talk about the story. Forget all the politics and the marketing and everything.
Right.
Let's just talk about the story. Forget that I have opinions about how the movie is. Let's just talk about how the story fits into the rest of the things that we like. What do you guys think of the major twist of this film, which is between the Kree and the Skrulls? First off, I did not see it coming. Maybe I don't know if this has been done in the comics at some point.
No, it hasn't.
think
So
so.
from what I
really,
hear,
really
from what I
interesting.
hear, the MCU is kind of like flipped.
Yeah. It really has. Because I know for a fact. I mean, there are good Skrulls also in the comics. There is a sympathetic kind of note to it, and we will quickly go to Jishnu on this point because I'm sure some Skrulls have appeared in Agents of Shield. So I want to know how they've been portrayed there. In fact, Jishnu, care to chime in?
No, not really.
So they've not been
The
featured?
Kree are all over the place.
Okay.
Kree have been involved for the last like 3 seasons.
And are they good, bad, ugly?
the Kree?
Yeah. How have they been
both.
portrayed? Okay,
Both.
so they're kind of
The
even.
Kree are like, there's the military, the
So
militant rebel.
Ben Mendelsohn is a Skrull.
He's a
He's a
Skrull,
Skrull,
yeah.
The
Okay.
Kree are the blue guys.
The Kree
Okay.
is the
The Kree
Skrull are the Klingon-y kind of
Guardians.
guys.
Yeah, the
Yes.
Kree are who Captain Marvel
Captain
thought
Marvel,
was
yeah,
her
she
family.
was,
yes.
Yeah. So while the Kree have like at the moment, so the accusers who are kind of like the. I
They are
figure out
Kree,
what
they are
they're
Kree,
Kree. So
they
are
are
they
Kree.
like
They're just like
military?
they're like elites basically.
But that's the thing.
what
So like, I assumed, not assumed, like obviously Jude Law and his little outfit are their own, are the Kree military.
So
and
they're
then there's also the accusers.
they're Star Force, which is an evil like team in they're villains in the
Green
in the
Lantern Corps Marvel version.
Well, yeah, like the
But-
Sinestro Corps, like
Yeah.
like a bad version of them.
But so okay, so like let's put it this way. The like a civilian Kree who's just like right down the middle, not bad, not ugly.
a layman
a
Kree.
layman
A
Kree.
lay Kree.
A lay Kree When he's like, holy crap, my building's on fire, do I call Star Force or do I call the accusers? I'm
No,
assuming
the accusers are like they're like the
SEAL Team 6?
executioners for the
Sure,
yeah, because
right.
that's what they do. You remember Guardians when Lee Pace is getting his little makeup done and then he slams his bloody
yeah.
hammer
There's
on
some
the
culty
yeah,
nonsense.
oh, fully.
Basically,
Talk
Shield
about this.
just has like a whole season, maybe 2 seasons, I think, of non-stop Kree goodness because now they're in space and they're on a Kree ship. But the way that population works is that there's enslaved Krees who are. And like the Shield guys have infiltrated, like, we're going to save
let's
the Krees.
let's not generalize an entire population of people, please. Just asking. No,
and
but
there are bad guys who enslave them.
But
it's great.
they take a very sympathetic tone to man. Okay, let's talk about this. The Skrulls in the comics, in the cartoons, very, very serious race of like aliens who are like out to kill and like screw you over. The entirety of Secret War is Skrulls infiltrating like the whole of like the human race.
Right.
In this, is it just me or did you get like a hardcore like What We Do in the Shadows kind of thing from the Skrulls? Like Ben Mendelsohn, who slays it in this film, as far as I'm concerned.
Quick aside, what's his real accent?
He is Australian.
So that was his real
That's
accent?
his real accent for the first time ever, Jishnu.
I was so confused.
I was wondering because he plays essentially the same role in like 3 movies.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That's
He's
why I was
played
just
the
like,
same
dude, which
role
one is
in
the real
Dark
you?
Knight
Yeah.
Rises.
Which is the real
And he
you?
has the same moment. One he has it with Bane, the other he has it with Darth Vader. It's
What
the
the-
exact
oh, yeah,
same
yeah, yeah.
moment. He's just like the first one. He's like, what is it? Do you think you are in control?
Yeah.
And the same
you
thing
feel
happens.
in control?
The same thing happens with
With
Darth
Vader,
Vader.
yeah.
He's essentially that is just amazing.
He's the Igor character that just got like way too ambitious. And he's like, yo, calm down.
Way too
buddy.
ambitious,
Calm down.
yeah. But great, he's such a good actor.
Yeah.
And what was the other film we saw him in recent? Ready Player One. He was also
yeah.
playing something.
Who was he in that?
Nolan Sorrento, the main bad guy.
Oh, he was the main.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I just find that absolutely
He's fun, man. I
hilarious.
like that guy.
He's so great in this film. Like he's honestly one of the high points in this film. One because I like that they didn't just use him as like this. There was a lot of comic relief to his character.
Yeah. Those were
especially-
the moments where I kind of felt like the authentic MCU kind of moments.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When, where he's just like, this is your science guy, and that science guy's just like,
See,
I'm sorry, didn't know that.
I will say though,
Yeah.
I thought like the vast majority of like those like this is a Marvel movie moments, the funny like warms your heart kind of humor was from everybody except Brie Larson.
That's true.
But that's not her job. I mean, like, she's
so
not
like
her role to
again,
do
that's
it.
what I'm saying. They just didn't script it in her favor.
But no, she's not supposed to be like a funny, like, not every Marvel character has to provide like comic relief and humor.
Well,
she did have some funny lines
She
though.
did, but
So,
what I'm getting at is the scenes were
but it was a
carried
different
by.
one.
I felt like every scene was carried mainly by the supporting cast.
The supporting cast. I
They had
agree
a
with
very
that.
strong supporting
So
cast.
I don't know what the
I'm okay with that.
what brief Brie Larson was given for this, but I found her performance.
Brief Larson. Come on, how did you not do that just by instinct?
I found her performance fluctuating throughout. Like
Really? Yeah?
when she crashes onto Earth and she meets Nick Fury, there's this bouncy buddy cop thing
Yeah,
going,
yeah.
and suddenly she's clueless because she's trying to figure out who she is.
yeah.
And then in the end, she's like, just that Super Saiyan, and like, I'll take on anything that comes in front of me.
Yeah.
Which I get because maybe she was said that this is a person who's having trouble.
Amnesia, yeah. The whole thing.
Yeah.
It's
I
quite,
don't know,
and it's
I
also
just-
quite disorienting. I gotta say, the first like maybe 20 minutes of the film, there's a lot. Like it starts very in media res, obviously,
Yeah.
and it's quite cool actually. I like that they tried to subvert that little origin.
I don't think they did it.
I don't think they did it perfectly.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm
They
in
made
agreement.
sure the audience is way ahead of the character, and then it just frustrates you.
Yeah,
like, I
that's a
know
terrible
things about
position
your
to be.
life that you don't know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I just want you to get there and
Absolutely.
get on with it.
Basically,
I 100%.
I think of
agree
it this
with
way.
that. Yeah.
If the flip with the Skrulls hadn't happened, I would really not like this movie.
Yeah,
That's
maybe.
all that
That's
saved
true.
it.
Yeah.
That
No, but
saved
yeah.
it for me because I was like, okay, there's something about this that surprised me.
No, but that's the movie. Like the whole movie is about her
But
trying
that's what I
to
mean.
protect
But
a
it's
race
like,
that is.
but if it's just the
has to
one
go
thing,
against-
if it's the one thing where you're like Ben Mendelsohn and his world was what saved it, I was like, well, then your titular character didn't land. It was like if you call this movie The Skrulls versus Kree, I'd be like, man, those Skrulls
Yeah.
and Kree were pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that side character, Captain Marvel, she was alright.
Guys. I mean,
Another
she's
thing
cool,
that
guys.
she's cool. I'm not denying that. Another thing that really confused me was Annette Bening's character. She's playing like three different characters.
I don't think it was wise to cast or to have the supreme intelligence take the form of the person that they relate to most,
right.
because then that becomes a very, and I can see that maybe they've used it as like a a disorienting kind of thing for her, because she tries to kind of rebel against the thing that she holds dear, and that's their own scheming and all that stuff. I get it, and Marvel has this way of always providing this astral plane for everybody to go and chill out on. I mean, Black Panther has it, Doctor Strange has it, everybody has it, right? Quantum Realm, everyone has it. So they had to do this one, and I mean, if that Nirvana song wasn't there, I don't know how I would have tolerated it. I loved it. I thought it was great.
No, because I'm in like the last few days of mixing my album, like I was just so like hyper aware, like dude, this remastered version of Come As You, I was like,
dude, it sounds great.
I was
what
like,
are you talking about?
Where's this bass coming from?
Goddamn 5.1, man.
I was like, dude, that's a Novoselic Stone.
Yeah.
If he was dead, he'd be rolling around in his grave, but he's not dead, so it's okay.
Yeah. Oh man, I enjoyed it. I liked all the music in the film. I thought it was a good touch. It was nice.
I mean, when they played
there was a little bit
of
of
my heart, but I was like, it was a missed opportunity a little bit with the music. I was like,
I agree.
I agree.
They could have done more.
They
They
could
have gone for some deep cuts. They just stuck with the top 40.
But the Courtney Love stuff, man, I would have loved to see Alanis Morissette in this film.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's fine. Guardians has spoiled us. I do think you're right about Annette Bening's character. I think her being Marvel, that was like a bit of a twist that I did not see. So that was good. Marvel, for those who are listening, it's the original Captain Marvel, and it's cool. I actually like the idea how they use the Tesseract. That goddamn Tesseract, man. It's the gift that keeps on taking. I swear to God. So the Tesseract is where she got her powers from, essentially. So it doesn't explode. I don't know. So she shoots it doesn't explode. What happens there? I don't know. I actually enjoyed that's the way she got her powers.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I mean, I didn't mind it.
It's an interesting kind of little play on.
It's one of those happy accidents that all Marvel characters get
it's
their powers
being
from.
bitten by a radioactive
Exactly.
spider.
It's like, there was a spider that bit me. It's like, okay, cool.
That's cool, man. And I like Jude Law. I think he's cool. I think he's great.
I think, but he's stopped playing characters. He's just Jude Law.
He's just Jude Law. He's young.
He's
something.
Dumbledore, but he's Jude Law. He's this character, but he's Jude
He's
Law.
Yumbledore. He's a sexy guy. I'm sorry. I'm into it. Anyway, but
I was distracted by Phil.
But I mean, I think Jude Law. I'm glad they didn't kill him off, and I hope that
They didn't. Oh yeah, he gets arrested at the end.
Sorry, did we not mention that this is a spoilers episode? Totally didn't do that.
36 minutes in.
We'll put a little guy in the front of the episode.
Oh, will we? Okay.
We'll put a little.
That'll be a first.
Yeah, we'll do it.
But he doesn't die?
No, he doesn't.
She puts him in a ship, and like it's a very cartoon, like Acme ending.
It
of like,
really is. It's such a Wile E.
Coyote in a thing and like kick him and he goes flying. That's literally what she does.
It's really funny. I do like that they held on to him, because I think Marvel's new way is to not kill off like these villains, especially if they have good relationships, like Baron Mordo in Doctor
But they've
Strange.
never brought anybody back, have they?
I mean, in the
Red
original,
Skull.
in the Red Skull,
Red Skull.
Mordo is going to come back,
so
100%, right?
Mordo's to come back.
Because
Ronan, the accusers have to come back now in some relevance. Because,
screw this guy. I think the other person who's done an excellent job of who should return is Michael Keaton. I hope he's going to be a recurring character.
Yeah.
They set him up in a way that he's going to have a complicated relationship with Spider-Man, and that ending, that post-credit sequence did that.
That's awesome.
It was great. And god damn it, Michael Keaton. Man, that guy, you put him in anything, he's just anyway. All right, so so the story. Anything else? What do you guys think of Goose? Finally, my cat has somebody to cosplay as. Is great.
Yeah.
The cat was great.
Yeah, it was a good touch.
I wish I didn't know what Flurkins were beforehand. That would have landed better.
I did.
But it was fun.
a
play
pleasant
as-
surprise. No, I really
Okay, you
didn't.
didn't know. So he's called Chewie in the books, right? Because, and I like that they changed it to Goose. It was like a
nice touch. I like it.
Top Gun kind of reference.
I like it.
But did you? What was I going to ask about Flurkins? Something
Did
about
you see it
Flurkins.
coming? Or?
Did you see it coming? Let's see. Let's talk about Nick Fury and the whole eye thing was funny.
It was a nice running
Even
gag.
I didn't have a problem.
I
with it.
liked
Nothing
that it
wrong with
was
that.
not so dramatic, and it was just very
Yeah.
Totally.
It kind of, in my opinion, builds up on Nick Fury's myth, because they're like, this guy takes the smallest things and makes them
He's
sound
an exaggerating
like,
guy. He's an actor. No, but it's cool. I really liked it. But whatever he says isn't lying. Like, he's like, the last time I trusted someone, lost an eye. Yeah, that's still accurate.
Like, I feel like if you presented this movie to me as like a Nick Fury movie, I'd be I might be more settled
Young
with
Nick
this movie.
Fury.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
So remember when Nick Fury signed like this 9-movie deal with Marvel,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everybody
Well,
was
he's
like,
well past that now.
And I think so. This was probably one of the early where they're like, we'll give you a nice meaty role in one movie.
yeah.
where
Maybe
you
you're right.
Get to carry it off.
Yeah.
And so
Man, he's so solid.
It was
though.
so good.
He's so good. Like he's really, really good to watch.
I want to give a shout out to Lashana Lynch, who plays Maria Rambeau.
Yeah. What do you think about that character?
I was
I
expecting.
really liked
I
it.
thought there would be more of it. I did like her a lot. I thought that there would be more with her, but
yeah.
to that end, speculation time on her daughter.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
So I think the minute I saw how much screen time her daughter was getting, placing bets on her.
What's her name in the comics? What is her?
I
Monica?
have no idea.
No. What she becomes a superhero? She's a superhero in the comics.
This thing, Photon.
Photon. Yes.
But so,
Yeah.
and that's like a call sign of her mom and all
Right,
that.
on
So,
the plane,
on the plane.
yeah.
But so, placing bets on, if not in Endgame, if she doesn't, like, because it's Endgame is 25 years or 20 years after the fact, so she's grown up. The kid-
Endgame is 25 years
after this movie,
Oh,
after
right.
Marvel.
Oh, shit.
So the kid is gonna be an
Grown
adult.
up. Oh, good call.
And she gave the kid
Oh
her
my
jacket.
God,
It's like, you hold on
just,
to it.
You just blew my goddamn mind.
I'll blow your mind a little more.
Go hit me, man. I'm ready.
So
I totally forgot.
she gave her, Bree gives her jacket. So like, you hold on to it until you can glow like her. Like, or rather, her mom says something
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you hold on to it
Yeah,
until
yeah.
you can glow like Auntie Carol. Right? So cool.
Weirdest thing ever
Weirdest
said
thing to say.
to a kid.
And
Yeah, to a kid.
the fact that like when Carol leaves that house and flies off into space at the end, you know, like we're like close in, tight, zoom in on her, like just looking up doe-eyed at the space. All right, 7-year-old who's been in close contact with aliens since day one, clearly has some like, she's really smart and whatnot. Putting bets on, if not an Endgame, then very, very soon, Riri Williams, a reincarnation of Iron Man in the form of this girl.
That's interesting.
Matches
interesting.
up
Yeah.
Not
with
that
everything.
kid in Iron Man 3, huh?
Not the kid in
I
Iron Man
guess
3,
not.
and not the kid in Iron Man 3. And what I'd love to see, just to continue like a group dynamic, Peter would obviously love to be the
He's
new
the
Tony,
next, yeah,
but
Tony.
Tony being Tony would be like, nah, screw you, Peter. I'll keep you on a hook, and I'll give it to the girl instead, who I
Yeah.
just met, who clearly is smarter than you, even though you're really smart. But I love how much it would annoy you. Just to like have a jab at Peter, he'd like give it to
unless the Captain Marvel sequel is set after this movie, and then
Yeah.
she's still not learned how to glow.
Yeah,
like.
but I mean, I think there could be every chance of like once Bree enters Endgame, she's like, oh, hang on a second, you guys are confusing the hell out of me. I don't know, there's a green dude and an ant dude and a spider. I don't know what is going on. I'm going to call my buddy Monica and then bring in this girl, and she's going to bring me up to speed in terms I can understand, and therefore she can be the connect because she's been around, so she is aware of the Avengers.
That's a pretty good theory,
Can
man.
we speculate about
Let's
this?
do
like,
this.
Yeah.
Like when Captain Marvel comes back, it's for her, it's like waking up from a coma,
Captain,
right?
yeah, like Captain
Or is
America.
she just aware of
All
everything?
these captains are just waking up. Like, I don't know how many years later. Yeah, she must be knowing. She must have come back. Hey, if she's not
she
come back
doesn't
to
know-
Earth in 25 years, that's a
She
big
doesn't know.
move.
She doesn't know what happened to Fury. Her first question when she comes back,
Unless it's like
"Where's
that
Fury?"
interstellar kind of vibe where for her no time has passed, and for why would that be the case?
That would be even worse because fashion choices have changed. Everything has changed. She's like, when I left, you had Best Buys and all of this stuff. And where am I now?
But this is really interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know how they're going to play this
she's
out.
got the exact same thing as Star-Lord.
Star-Lord doesn't age.
Not age, in that it's been so long since like he's referencing
That's
80s,
true.
I have a
she's
question.
referencing 90s.
I have a question.
right?
So is
Exact
it,
same,
it's
like, what
probably
did I
her
miss?
powers that are keeping her still the same age, right?
Maybe.
That's
I-
how
yeah.
they'll write it
I
off.
guess.
The age thing is not going to bug me.
The
It's
age
more
slower.
of
Meh.
like it's more of the where are you in our timeline? Do you
Yeah.
like see where we are? Like the
Yeah.
fact both Cap, Star-Lord, and Marvel have the exact same thing of like literally Captain America had a notebook of like, oh, I need to watch these movies.
But
So
so
like Star-Lord
25
is like
years, she didn't come
Footloose.
back once also. Yeah, come on. Like, why?
She's
But then
busy.
if she
Her
kept
best
coming
friend
back,
and
then what's the
everybody's-
point with the pager? With Nick Fury saying,
No,
I hope you don't have
one
to
second.
come
This
back.
is like how I really want to go back to Pune quite often because my family
Same
is
thing,
there.
yes.
Right? My
Yes.
family is there, but I don't get to. But I still try and make it back home every now and
I
then
don't
for
think so.
Diwali, Vishu,
Alright,
all these things.
if we're playing devil's
I-
advocate, I think the fact that she still has amnesia about her time on Earth, even though she's like, oh, I
Wouldn't she
remember.
want to spend more time on Earth? Like,
She remembers her friend and her friend's daughter. That we know clearly, but like
How
not
do we know
once did
that?
she. I mean, the fact that
she
she says, I
doesn't remember
you,
it. She
it's
just
like,
accepts that, this
I mean,
is
she
my friend.
she cries in her arms like, oh,
Yeah, it's a bit,
there's some recognition is
okay,
there.
acha,
But the
right.
fact that like she didn't like rush like, holy crap! But what about mom, dad, cousin, auntie, brother?
She doesn't
all
have a
that?
mom, dad, no. That's
Right.
the whole thing.
So she doesn't have that strong a connection, unlike Star-Lord, right? Now, once Star-Lord found out the truth about his parents, he's like, okay, forget Earth. It's not that big a deal. I'm okay with my
Gamora.
world and Gamora and whatnot. So likewise with Bree, she's like, all right, the Kree and the Skrulls are complicated. I like the Skrulls now, so maybe I need to help with these guys. And she's got a family there in some shape or form. So maybe she's like, okay, I'll invest in these guys. Earth is cool because Nick is there. Nick is taking care of it. If he needs me, he'll call. And I'll come and eat.
This is so
I'm just
matter of fact.
exactly. It's just like, if you want to play devil's advocate.
I don't know, man. I feel it's like a bit of a
25
stretch.
years is too much to read into, basically. It's just like, you gotta.
No, when is
wait
she?
and see.
1995?
Something like that. Yeah.
That's when we last see her on Earth.
So yeah, 24
years.
24
Yeah.
years. Man, crazy dog. That's bad behavior, Captain Marvel. Like, come on, see your friends at least, man.
But
You and
that's-
I,
But her
me and my
friends think
friends
she's
go to
dead.
Goa
Here's the
once
other
a year,
thing.
man.
Everybody thinks she's dead except for those two.
Right.
Dead?
Except, yeah.
Oh, as in dead. That
Everything
way. Yeah,
she's
she died in that
literally dead.
crash.
So,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
if she comes back, it's not only like, whoa, you're glowing, you're also alive. We'll come to the glowing,
I
but you're
love
alive.
that order, yeah.
Yeah.
No, okay,
So,
cool.
but
So
then
fair enough.
what are we saying? So now this 24-year jump,
Yeah.
she has not forgotten anything because she clearly remembers Fury.
No, she's not. She's just like, she's busy, man. She's
Okay,
Captain
she's
Marvel.
busy.
Yeah, she's busy saving the world in other worlds.
And if she is going to be like the secret weapon of the Avengers to defeat
Okay,
Thanos,
tell me one
She's
thing.
isn't
Okay.
that going to be a
Okay.
Deus Ex Machina? Whereas, like, hey, we
That's the thing.
invested 10 years
So-
in these characters.
Okay,
I have a theory
I
about
also have one more
Or a hope, rather.
one more question, right? Yeah, the Deus Ex Machina, definitely. Everyone's in
Right.
fact apparently they have shot another ending for Endgame, or they've shot more scenes in case Captain Marvel was a flop. This is
Right.
apparently
Which
like
it
a
isn't
thing.
now. so.
But yeah, it's a super hit.
Yeah.
No, and there's no doubt it was fine. Marvel's
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
sure thing almost.
Yeah,
You can
yeah,
really
of course.
buy stocks. Anyway, point is, I just feel like you're right. It feels like a bit, shoehorned if she gets to take the final,
Right.
And I don't think she will.
call. And I don't think she will. Also, yeah, I think that they're far too smart to let like a new and now controversial character, what do you call
Sweep
it? Kind
in
of,
and take
sweep
all
in
the
and
cre-
take
all
the
the
thing.
credit.
What do you get?
But I just feel like I don't know how they're going to manage this gap as well. It feels like weird that she would be like, she's so intricately tied to the Kree and thus to Ronin and all that stuff, and not have known about the Infinity Stones or anything that's happening. If she's
Right, yes.
if she's like the premier
Yeah.
like savior of the galaxy,
Yes, then
right now.
Thanos knows about her
And
already. yes.
not even Thanos, just generally, how has she not felt responsible? Or maybe that's something we have to find out. How does she not feel responsible toward the Skrulls who are definitely being affected by the Infinity War? Like,
You
she
think-
comes back and says, "Where's Fury?"
Right.
What about where's everybody? Half of everyone you knew like until
Yeah.
5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
you would have known that everybody's
Right.
disappearing.
I have a feeling they're going to do that Forrest Gump thing where they're going to show that Captain Marvel was actually in all the major things you've seen so
That would
far
be
in
great.
the MCU. Everything that happened in space.
What be
It's a-
bet-
it's
okay,
a-
so
She was actually
you know
there.
that there are bets on them Back to the Future in a little bit. which
Yes,
is right.
they've
So
mentioned that.
What would be
I don't
hilarious?
think that's
I don't
gonna
think
happen.
because that is very obvious once you like
I would
think too
but
hard.
let me be
It'd
absolutely
hilarious.
clear.
Yes, I would love it.
I want this.
But
I want to
but
see
now
Battle of New York
but
again.
to that end, right? So they could very well do this. Like, imagine if you take the time stone and you do like jump back in time and you're like
Yeah.
playing out those scenes.
Yeah.
And you're right. What if Carol is just like floating 100 feet above
they
being like,
said this.
Yeah, you're fine.
They said the same thing about Ant-Man. Okay, they said Ant-Man was in everything. You just couldn't see him.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but see,
so
okay,
I'm saying that, but I don't think that they're not. They're
They're not
too
going to
smart to do anything as obvious as those
Here's my
things.
bets.
Yeah.
I think the Russos are too smart to do that because I think that Deus Ex Machina thing is
You
dumb.
mean Christopher
but
Marcus
also,
and Stephen McFeely.
them too.
Yeah.
They are far wiser than they know. So I think that you have also considered the fact that those guys didn't know the ins and outs of the Marvel story when they were scripting this stuff. So they can't dig in too much into the specificity of Carol's story. What they do know is that she is as powerful as she is. She gets her powers from the Tesseract. She has interacted with the Tesseract. She has literally held the Tesseract. Take that into consideration with Thor. Thor had literally one shot at Thanos. Apart from the fact that he missed by like a few inches.
Oh, no, he
killed the
did it.
guy.
He killed him.
Exactly. So Thor is, as far as I'm concerned, Marvel's equal.
Strongest Avenger.
Because he can also go in space. He can also,
He is the strongest Avenger, straight up.
he can do whatever she can do, pretty much. Other than shoot fire, he shoots lightning. So the fact that they have Thor means that like she doesn't offer anything new that he doesn't offer, other than I think
We don't
the
know
fact,
yet.
I mean,
We
yeah,
don't know the
obviously.
limitations of her power.
Other than the fact that she can carry an Infinity Stone. So
But
my
she
guess
is partly Infinity Stone.
exactly. So my guess is
She's like Vision
our
almost,
gauntlet
right?
carrier.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
I'm guessing she's the gauntlet wielder.
Oh, is it like going to be a Horcrux like situation?
It's a Horcrux.
Where half of the
Oh my
Infinity
God.
Stone
Okay,
is
okay,
actually
check it out,
Captain Marvel.
Okay. So Vision is one guy, but Vision is done, bhai. He's gone.
But he can come back because he's put into the hard drive in Shuri's thing.
Yeah. This hard drive, yeah. But Shuri's
She
gone.
backed
Now
up the hard drive.
enjoy that one.
Oh, Shuri gone? We don't know.
Yeah.
No, Shuri's
we didn't
there.
see Shuri.
She's they've confirmed
not?
it. They confirmed Shuri's.
You sure?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
She does, bro.
They
She
confirmed
does.
it like in an interview type of thing.
I
Somebody
think so,
asked
yeah.
her.
I think Kevin Feige or somebody did. Yeah.
No, so I think she's in the
Man,
photo or
Arey,
in the
suno,
trailer.
Yeah, listen,
the
check it out.
photo in
There's only one way they could have done this movie without bankrupting Disney's entire fucking like casting budget, which was that they were like, yaar, isme bahut sare log hain. Half of them have to go, and they were just like, what if that's the story? Okay, and then they removed half of them. Now they can deal with a smaller cast.
Yeah.
And tell a bigger story and conclude these guys, this is their swan song. So I feel like even if Captain Marvel is there, like I mean, she okay, let's talk about that post-credit sequence. It was awesome. I loved it. You know what? It could have been, this is what it could have been, where she's like, I want to know who's on the other end of that pager. And then suddenly in space, you see Captain Marvel looking and say like, I have to go somewhere. But boom, she turns around, she's there. It was awesome. It's to the point. It may well be something from the movie itself, which comes out next month.
I think, I don't know what movie it was, the one that came out just before Civil War, where the post-credit scene was actually a scene from
Doctor
Civil
Strange.
War.
Exactly. I was just
where
going to say,
Winter Soldier is in prison.
he's in the Vice.
That one.
Yeah, he's Sebastian Stan's in the Vice.
And then the film was, the scene was actually in the film as well.
yeah.
I think this is that kind of a situation. I don't even think this scene is going to be like in the first 20 minutes or so. I think.
No, so what they've said, Ken Feige said that everything that we've seen and everything we will see from
Which
the
is the way
Avengers
to do it.
Endgame is only in the first 30 minutes of the movie.
So why the hell would they put the final shot of her getting her powers in the trailers? That's what bugged me.
It's okay, man.
They know how to do it.
They
Like,
had
see,
to
with
make
Endgame,
this
you
one
keep it
swing,
safe.
dude. It's
They
cool.
don't have to make it swing. It's a Marvel movie.
If she's
People are gonna see it. You don't have to oversell this.
we
so
are
bad.
different people. We are not the people they're marketing this movie towards.
These movies make $1 billion.
They are marketing
like, everybody
it to
and
people.
their mom is watching these movies.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I'm
they'll
just
continue
saying
to
that
watch them.
my point is that everybody who's, I mean, at this point, there's nobody who needs convincing to watch this
That's
movie. Everyone's
true.
going
it's
to.
after
That is
Endgame, all
exactly
bets are off, but
precisely
right
his
now-
point.
But I think
There's
Kevin
just,
Feige is a smart guy. He wants to preserve the sanctity of the that's why there are no premieres for this film. They don't do premieres for these films because where there are no star members, like whatever, no cast people, because they just want to preserve something. They're just like, you know what, it's cool if we don't have a big budget marketing thing because they don't need it, man.
So you're
They don't
making
need
my
it.
point. You're making my point
I'm saying
for me.
Captain Marvel, you do need it.
No, there's no reason.
Yeah, she's a new person, and if
20
she's going to
movies
be
in,
as important
20
as somebody.
movies in, if movie 18 is making $1 billion, movie 19 is also making $1 billion, you think movie 20 is not?
Actually, that's true, man. Off the heels of like Black Panther and stuff,
Yeah.
they could
Who
have.
the hell is not going to see
But
this
like
movie?
you said, this is by your own admission. Like Black Panther had like a backdoor pilot, so to speak, in
Sure.
Civil War, and so Spider-Man needs no selling. He's the most
Yeah.
famous character of all time.
Yeah.
Up there with Batman. Literally, that's it.
Yeah.
By the way, 80 years of Batman. sorry.
If they had to show like one shot of her being all powerful, that's the only part they could show, right? There's no
But you
other
don't
part.
need to. That's
Yeah.
my point.
I mean, I'd rather
There
they
was
show
no need
that
to.
than
I mean,
the
it's
ending
like-
shot where she's like flying.
They did show the ending shot. They showed all of it. That's my point. I saw
like,
the entire thing
Guys,
3 months ago.
What can I say here?
I
It's like
saw
them
the-
showing-
I saw the
I
final
can't believe
act.
I'm telling you this. You are the one who you don't like to watch trailers. I love watching trailers.
Yeah.
But for this one, I felt like, man, Avengers, I cannot not watch a goddamn trailer. Like anything they put out, I'm gonna like watch it.
That's the thing. I saw
because I'm a hungry.
I saw this
guy.
trailer once. I saw the Endgame trailer once, and having seen just this one Marvel trailer back in like Jan or whenever it dropped, I got goosebumps. I was
What
like,
about
holy crap, she
Ragnarok?
looks so
They did
cool.
something similar for Ragnarok, right? Like they showed the final shot, and but they had digitally kind of kept his second
Eyes,
eye and
yeah,
stuff,
they
and then
were-
until the film.
Yeah.
But you saw that. But in the film, it still worked for me, man. Like it still worked as a.
But they didn't show the final shot.
They showed
didn't
the
show
whole
climax.
immigrant song, the whole landing thing, that shot with his eye and with his.
I mean,
Yeah.
in the
I was still
trailer,
okay with
he
that.
had an eye. In the movie, he doesn't.
Yeah, but it's the same shot essentially, and I still felt it. Man, Thor knows how to make entries. Also, that we cannot deny. Yeah. All right. Cool. So final thoughts.
Before we wrap up,
Yeah.
Stanley cameo.
Oh man, let's talk about that introduction.
intro,
also,
man.
those
Yeah.
titles were beautiful. Did you see the Kevin Smith thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was reading the script
line.
of. It was great.
Mall
and Kevin
rats.
Smith was like, all up in his.
Yep.
Man, awesome. Really cool. I love the titles. They were so cool. Like just to tribute him. That was great.
Yeah.
Man.
He was the comics he created.
I did want to know
that he was.
I did want to know that how many of these cameos did he shoot before he's done has he done one for Endgame as well?
6 is what I heard.
But not including Spider-Verse and all that.
Yeah. So I think there are about 3 more to go. But I don't know if they choose to do it after Endgame.
They ought to do it for Endgame.
Yeah, I think Endgame is definitely gonna happen.
Definitely.
Maybe Spidey too, because Spidey is like his boy. So
Yeah, I know.
who's after Spidey?
There's nothing this year. Then next year.
What is the one after that? I forget.
Oh, so much to get through. Jishnu, let's cross that bridge when we get to it. But I think next year is not Guardians 3.
Black Panther 2?
Black Panther 2. Hey, these guys got a few movies, huh? I think Doctor Strange too.
Oh, yeah.
Is it? Come on, Abbas, hit me. What are the next
Phase
few
4,
films?
the one that's showing with the release date is only Spider-Man Far From Home.
I'm okay with that.
So, yeah.
I think they are. Oh yeah, they didn't reveal because they want to know the end of Endgame. Is
If they're smart, they wouldn't tell us. Who's.
Then if Endgame goes well, then they'll say anything like Howard the Duck is going. So
Patton Oswalt is voicing a MODOK cartoon, so anything is possible.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Oh man.
Anyway.
And this Disney Plus situation also.
Yep.
Oh,
With
yeah.
Loki and Sebastian Stan and Mackie's Falcon and Winter Soldier. How about that? That's cool. So that means they're not dying? I don't know. What's happening?
I don't know. See, now the thing, they have so many time periods to play with, they can do anything.
No, where do they have for Sebastian? Where do they have for Winter Soldier and Falcon?
I mean, they
they
can set
obviously
it-
make it out alive, guys. One of them has to be Cap. In fact, the whole show should be Race to be Cap. It's like Road to the World Cup or something. That'll be amazing. That'll be great. Right.
Okay.
This is our episode for Captain Marvel. It was fully spoiled, guys. If you didn't know already. We liked most of it, but it could have been better.
Marvel doesn't make bad movies at this
They
point.
don't.
They don't do bad.
Let alone a movie with the title in it.
Yeah.
It's like, which
There's
Marvel
a-
Studios? Captain? Like,
They
so funny.
snuck in a Marvelettes joke in the
it's
film
good.
as well.
That's good. That's
Dude
good.
has a good voice.
Huh?
Boy has a good voice.
He's got chops. Yeah,
He's
he's
a
got
crooner.
pipes.
He's a crooner.
Right. So tell us what you thought of Captain Marvel. Thanks Abbas for being here.
My pleasure.
And let us know. You can mail us, contactgeekfruit@gmail.com, @geekfruithq on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And that's our show. See you later, you nerds.
Hey everybody, we have a brand new podcast series by Bloomberg Quint called BQ Conversations, which covers a range of topics like business strategies, latest trends in technology such as cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, and also personal finance. Episodes are out on the IVM Podcast app or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Sachin Tendulkar, Virat Kohli, Don Bradman, and now Cyrus Brocha. Okay, probably not in the right company. I mean, Don Bradman is Australian. But it's called Cyrus Says, a wonderful show about everything. Find the show on the IVM Podcast app, ivmpodcast.com, or wherever you listen to podcasts.